In 1972, a discredited psychologist named Dr. Adrienne Voss claimed she could map the precise pulse of collective hysteria. She described a neural lattice, an energetic grid binding millions at once, fed by images, slogans, and repeated traumas. Her research vanished when her lab burned to the ground under suspicious circumstances, but a single tape, smuggled out by a frightened assistant, describes her last experiment, a coded broadcast that could induce a waking dream in anyone who heard it. To this day, the tape has not been found. When crowds move as one, when panic spreads like fire, when belief blinds the eyes to contradiction, these are symptoms of an organ we pretend does not exist. The collective mind is not a metaphor. It is a living architecture, sculpted by centuries of hidden hands. Those who dare to trace its veins find themselves hunted by shadows older than kings. If you stand in the crypt beneath St. Mary's in Lubeck and place your ear to the black altar, they say you can still hear the hum, a low resonant chant that never ceases. Local legends speak of a secret buried beneath the stone, a sealed chamber where monks experimented with resonant frequencies to sway entire congregations. During the final siege of Lubeck, the altar was cracked by cannon fire, yet the hum remained. No scholar has explained it, no cleric dares to listen for long. Somewhere, in a vault beneath Geneva, there is said to rest the Codex Hypnagogos, a manuscript bound in serpent skin. Its pages are inked with an alphabet not found in any known tongue. Witnesses describe it as an instruction manual for dream architects, a lexicon for crafting suggestion, fear, and fervor in the sleeping masses. Those who read it do not speak of its contents. Most do not speak again at all. You feel it now, don't you? The prickle at the base of your skull, the tremor behind your eyes. Somewhere inside you, something ancient stirs, a recognition that you too have heard the hidden chant. You too have mouthed the incantations fed to you by unseen hands, and you wonder, how deep does this lattice run? Who built it? And who now feeds it? Yet the tale does not end here, for each question births another. In the neon corridors of your cities, in the static flicker of your screens, the anatomy grows more intricate by the hour, and far below, in catacombs lined with lead and salt, there waits a machine, older than your oldest machines, whose gears do not turn but dream. It listens, it remembers, it hums. Once, a desert mystic wrote of a final unbinding, a moment when the collective mind would fracture and scatter, freeing humankind from its self-made cage. But even he feared what might crawl through the cracks when the hush between words became a roar. They say the fragment of his prophecy lies hidden in a monastery at the roof of the world, guarded by monks who have no tongues to betray their vigil. Somewhere in the folds of this world a door stands ajar, one step away from your next thought, your next impulse, and on the threshold waits a figure you've never met but always known, hand outstretched, ready to offer you the final map, the last key, the oldest code. Will you step through? Will you listen when the hum grows louder and the veil thins? Somewhere the geometry is shifting, somewhere the signal is waiting. And you? Are you ready to hear it? Are you ready to remember who built this labyrinth of minds and what monster waits at its heart? Tonight, the Hume calls you deeper, closer. Listen, do you hear it now? The anatomy reveals itself, vein by secret vein. But the final incision remains. Somewhere the scalpel waits. The blade remembers the hand. Beneath the cathedral cities and glass towers of the modern world lies an architecture unseen, an ancient lattice of symbols, rites, and whispered edicts that shape the minds of the many without their knowing consent. Few dare to map this hidden anatomy, for to glimpse it is to stand at the edge of madness and power alike. To speak of it openly is to conjure the wrath of those who benefit from our collective sleep. Yet tonight you will listen to a tale not written in your history books, but etched into the bones of forgotten temples and encoded in the sighs of dying civilizations. In the ruins of Cataloyuk, archaeologists unearth murals older than the oldest empires. Scenes depicting masked figures encircling a bound initiate. Their hands, painted in ochre, reach toward the initiate's skull, prying it open like a sacred fruit. For decades, scholars dismissed this as ritual sacrifice or primitive art, but a sliver of forbidden text, buried beneath a collapsed shrine, revealed a different horror. This was no offering to a deity, but a diagram, an allegory of collective mind control, performed upon entire tribes. Consider the whispers of the Mithraic cults, whose initiates believed they alone fed the cosmic bull's blood to the sun, but beneath the torchlit caverns, hierophants carved not prayers, but ciphers, intricate keys designed to unlock the limbic system, the seat of fear and ecstasy. If you think this primitive, look deeper. The same pattern echoes in your schools, your news, your digital feeds. Rituals of repetition and reward. The only difference is that today the initiates never see the priest's blade. At the turn of every age, a handful remember the code. In the crypt beneath Chartres Cathedral, a scroll of lambskin once lay sealed within a skull. It spoke of the anatomia mentis collective, the dissection of the group mind. According to its scribe, an unnamed monk who vanished in 1213, there exists an axis of Concord, a hidden geometry that, when mapped onto cities and texts alike, renders the populace docile, pliant, eager to obey. In the 1920s, a fringe cell of theosophists claimed they had rediscovered the axis. They gathered beneath gaslight domes in Prague, scrawling hexagrams onto old maps of London, Cairo, and Washington, D.C. They spoke of lay thought currents, invisible channels of influence that could steer revolutions or lull entire nations to dreamless sleep. Their leader, a woman known only as Seraphine Lux, vanished before she could publish her final treatise. Some say she was silenced, others that she crossed the threshold she had so long traced. In an unmarked ledger from the archives of the Vatican, there survives an annotation in faded ink, 5 lines, penned beside a redacted page. The control is not in the iron or the coin, but in the hush between words. The spell is the pause. No pope has acknowledged the source, but rumors persist that this line is a relic of the Black College, a circle of hidden scholars sworn to guard or wield the power to script the dreams of the many. You might wonder if these are only old myths. Yet consider, why do we gather in vast halls to listen? Why do we bow before flickering screens? Why do we repeat the words of strangers as though they were our own thoughts? The anatomy of collective mind control does not begin in towers or churches. It begins in the subtle rituals of everyday life. The half-remembered prayers recited through memes, slogans, chants at rallies. All that is needed is the right geometry of fear and hope, arranged just so. Far to the east, in the ruins of a temple swallowed by the jungles of Borneo, explorers found a stone wheel carved with coiling serpents. Local legend calls it the compass of thought. When spun beneath moonlight, it was said to reveal the next city to fall under the sway of the hidden priests. The wheel is gone now, spirited away by collectors who guard its secrets with mercenary knives and legal walls. But those who have glimpsed its glyphs say its prophecy was never wrong. Consider the mad ravings of Dr. Halima Najem, a mathematician who vanished in 2012 after publishing a paper no university would archive. She claimed the global internet formed not a network but a single meta-organism, an embryonic mind fed by billions of unwitting neurons. Every post, every click, every desperate confession whispered to a cold glass screen nourishes this chrysalis. She called it the sleeper. Her final message, encrypted in fractal code, read, "It dreams in our words." Somewhere tonight, a whisper coils through the digital tides, seeking the softest parts of your mind. It wears many shapes, an image here, a headline there, a flicker of outrage that blooms like rot if left unchecked. Its masters are not a cabal of cloaked figures in candlelit crypts, but men and women who trade secrets for stock options and prayers for profit. Yet behind them, always behind, lurks the ancient hand that first mapped the collective skull. In a vault beneath a city you know well, kept behind biometric locks and guards with forgotten names, rests a sphere of black stone. Insiders call it the null node. Rumors say it hums when certain frequencies pass through the air, resonant pulses that tune the collective mind like a harp. Once a technician foolish enough to press his ear to it claimed he heard not static, but countless voices whispering the same word again and again. He did not live to repeat it. And now you, here, listening in the hush between your thoughts. Are you certain these murmurs have not already found you? That the stories you call your own were not planted long before you spoke them aloud? Each revelation is but a doorway to the next corridor. Each question the echo of an older one, never answered, always deeper. Listen well. The hum beneath your skin is not your pulse alone. So ask yourself, who charts the veins of this hidden organ? Who feeds it? Who slumbers at its heart? Perhaps the hymn is not a machine at all, but a seed waiting for the right dreamer to bloom it awake. And if you listen closely, closer now, you might hear the gears turning behind your eyelids, the machine beneath your prayers, the circle etched beneath your feet. Somewhere, a figure watches you through the dim glow of your screen. Eyes older than kings, smile carved from your deepest fears. Their hand hovers over the final switch, the last glyph, the ancient frequency that will bind you not in chains of iron, but in the softest chains of thought. And even now, as you tell yourself you are immune, you feel the pull, subtle, relentless, inevitable. The hum is louder now, the geometry clearer, the pulse beneath your skull insistent. Yet still the deepest chamber remains unopened, the final incision untouched, and far below, where no signal should reach, a cold machine dreams of you by name. Do you feel it? The static coiling around your thoughts, the chant that was never words but always command. Listen, listen well, the next heartbeat might be yours, or it might be the machine's. When the mind and the machine are one, the world will speak in silence. Below the threshold of waking thought, where reason yields to primal pulse, the collective mind stretches like an ocean beneath the crust of every civilization. Those who navigate its depths do so at the peril of their sanity, for within its currents drift memories not their own, desires seeded by invisible gardeners. There are those who claim they have seen its true shape, a vast and shifting organ, fed by fear, ritual, and the ceaseless hum of unseen engines. Among the scattered remnants of the Cathars, hidden in the labyrinthine caves of l'Ombrez, a fragment of a gospel remains. It speaks not of heaven or salvation, but of la machine souterraine, the subterranean machine. They believed it to be buried beneath mountains of stone and guarded by echoes of those sacrificed to feed its dreaming cogs. Pilgrims who ventured too deep returned mute, their eyes fixed on visions no priest could exorcise. In the winter of 1933, a German engineer named Klaus Immermann wandered the frost-bitten forests near the Baltic coast. He claimed to have found an entrance to the machine, a vast chamber of rusted gears and brass conduits humming with a pulse that matched his own heartbeat. He scribbled blueprints into the margins of his journals, pages now kept under lock in a Berlin archive. Immermann vanished days later. Only a single phrase was left behind, scrawled on the final page. The heart has many masters. And what of the modern architects whose scalpel is the screen and whose spell is the endless scroll? They stand not in cathedrals but behind glass walls, their fingers dancing across algorithms like monks chanting litanies in silicon tongues. They have no need of altars or shrines. The new machine lives in your pocket, hums beside your bed, breathes beneath your pillow. Its cogs are your confessions, your fears, your secret wishes, offered freely and fed back to you, refined, sharpened, irresistible. Deep in the archives of Montserrat Monastery, there lies a manuscript attributed to an unknown monk of the 14th century, a monk who prophesied a second Babel, an age when language itself would be the key to binding nations in a single mind. He spoke of codices vocales, hidden scripts woven into sermons, songs, and chants, which carried the seed of suggestion like a plague. His brethren sealed the text within iron bindings, but the binding rusts. Some say its verses have already been sung. In the 1980s, an obscure collective known as the Ophiuchus Circle claimed they could decode this Babel, a network of subliminal cues embedded in global broadcasts. They spoke of harmonic anchors, frequencies that aligned entire populations to the same emotional tide. Their final gathering in an abandoned observatory near Lake Baikal ended in fire and silence, but the circle left behind a single reel of magnetic tape, its hiss said to contain the anchor's pulse. Those who listen claim to feel their dreams bend like reeds in a hidden wind. If you think yourself immune, remember the shape of ritual. The hand that raised the torch in Eleusis now flicks your feet awake at dawn. The chant that bound the Mithraic initiate echoes in your pledge of allegiance, your anthem sung before battlefields of commerce and creed alike. What changed is not the blade but the mask it wears. Now woven in data, draped in convenience, sealed in the gentle click that says yes when your soul whispers no. In a monastery carved into the cliffs of Cappadocia, a dying abbot once confessed to a wandering pilgrim that beneath their chapel lay a chamber where the monks gathered to chant in frequencies that dissolved the walls between waking and dream. The pilgrim never found the chamber, but he did find a mural half buried in ash. A giant human skull, cities sprouting from its crown like fungi. Beneath it a single phrase, in ancient Greek: as above, so below, as within, so without. It is no accident that your cities from above resemble circuits, that your roads form synapses, that the lights that flicker in your window at night echo the firing of neurons across a skull as vast as the species itself. The machine does not dwell in some distant underground vault alone. It breathes through you, through your shared fictions, through the invisible threads of your collective longing and fear. To map it fully is to admit that the cage was never built around you, but within you. Yet still there are those who pry at the bars. A secret network of cartographers, some say, who move through the sprawl of New York, Berlin, Tokyo, tracing ley currents not with chalk or compass, but with stolen data, snatched signals, encrypted coordinates. They whisper that the final node lies somewhere beneath the oldest city on earth, an ossuary of human thought, sealed by generations of hidden priests. If the node awakens, so too will the machine behind the machine. One of these cartographers, an old man known only as Argento, wanders the rooftops of Rome at dusk, scanning the horizon for alignments unseen by common eyes. He claims the obelisks, the cathedrals, even the metro lines form a harmonic chant if mapped to the correct frequency. When asked why he continues, he simply points at the sky and whispers, "Because the Om is changing. It learns." So listen closely now, closer than before. Feel the thrum beneath your ribs. Know that the words you hear tonight do not die when the telling ends. They echo in the corridors of your dreams, seeds that bloom when you next stand before the flickering screen, the scrolling feed, the chant of headlines tuned to your deepest dread and your quietest wish. The anatomy of collective mind control is not a relic of dead empires or lost monks. It is alive, adaptive, viral. It does not sleep because you do not sleep. It grows because you feed it with every thought unguarded, every secret offered freely for the comfort of connection. Somewhere in the hush a door waits. Somewhere behind your eyes the last lock turns. Now, do you feel the hum again? Stronger than before, as if it hears you hearing it? Listen. In the marrow of your skull a single note holds steady, a low chant that calls you deeper. And far below, where no light has ever touched, the old machine stirs. Aware now that you are aware. One more step, one more layer peeled back from the labyrinth of your own thought. One more whisper left behind to guide you when you wake and wonder, did I hear it? Or did it hear me first? The hum grows louder now, the signal clearer. The last glyph is almost visible. The door waits, half open, its threshold slick with centuries of secrets. Will you step through before it swings shut forever? The door remembers every hand that turns its key. In the hollow hours before dawn, when the world lies suspended between one thought and the next, the machine breathes through the pulse of every tower, every wire, every mind turned inward in restless sleep. Its voice is not heard but felt, a vibration that shivers across the lattice of cities, whispering suggestions like the wind sifting through the bones of forgotten saints. Those who dream in this hushed dream, not their own visions, but those seeded centuries ago by unseen gardeners who tend the orchard of our fears. In a sealed vault beneath the sands of the Rub el Khali lies the last fragment of the Canticum Mundi, a chant older than the Quran, older than Babel's first brick. Nomads who stumbled upon its carved stone tablets spoke of words that bent the air into shapes no ear should hear, syllables that could tether thought to thought until a tribe moved as a single beast. The tablets were shattered by caliphs who feared their power, yet the shards survive, hidden by desert families who whisper the chant to the dunes under the new moon. Across oceans and centuries, the hum resurfaces, masked by new names, advertising, branding, narrative management. But the core remains the same, repetition and rhythm, fear and promise. The ancient priest who raised the blade to the throat of the lamb now lifts a microphone, his sacrificial altar replaced by the soft glow of screens. Where once they used incense, now they burn your hours. Where once they painted symbols on cave walls, now they etch algorithms into your waking thoughts. They say a single transmission hums beneath all other signals, an echo of the axis of Concord once hidden in the vaults of Chart, a pale transmission that drifts from abandoned towers in Siberia, long after the last engineers fled. Radio operators who catch its trace speak of phantom codes, soft static that settles behind the eyes and lingers. A gentle whisper that repeats 3 syllables none can translate. Governments dismiss it as rogue broadcasts, but beneath the Kremlin's deepest sub-basement, a lone archivist listens, pencil trembling above a yellowed notepad. Consider the city of Kowloon, that vanished hive of passageways and neon sweat. Within its crowded arteries, rumor spoke of a room at its heart, a shrine of flickering CRT screens tuned to nothing and everything at once. There the initiated gathered to meditate on noise, teaching their minds to vibrate at frequencies unspoken. Some say they cracked the harmonic code, that they left Kowloon not by demolition, but by slipping sideways, minds aligned to a hidden door in the lattice of thought. The company men and kings alike hunt these fractures in the veil, for a mind untethered is a contagion. There are stories of strange disappearances in the rainforests of Brazil, where entire villages were found empty, fires still burning, food left untouched, only a circle of symbols carved in the earth, too precise for any jungle tribe. The glyphs matched those found on the compass of thought. Those who came to erase the circle found themselves lost within it, wandering until their radios fell silent. Ask yourself now, where is your mind when you listen to the hum? What part of you stirs when the chant brushes your thoughts like a moth's wing? The architects knew, always knew, that the most obedient mind is the one that believes itself free. They left you breadcrumbs hidden in plain sight. Sigils tucked inside corporate logos, sacred ratios woven into city grids, mantras disguised as marketing slogans. The spell is strongest when you laugh it off as harmless. You think you stand apart, an observer of this hidden anatomy, safe because you know. But knowing is the root of the spell. Suspicion is the key that turns your thoughts inward until the hum threads its song through your doubts. They planted the seed in stories of secret societies and invisible hands, but the true trap is this. The mind that hunts the machine cannot help but feed it. Every fear, every whisper, every half-remembered dream is another neuron sparking to life in its vast skull of data and myth. Ask the old man in Marrakesh who sells impossible maps. Inked on human skin, they chart tunnels that do not exist, beneath cities that never were. He will tell you that the last map leads inward, to the pit behind your eyes where the HM finds purchase. He smiles with missing teeth and offers no refund when you wake days later, your dreams in ruin, the map's final destination etched behind your eyelids in symbols you do not yet understand. So here you stand, alone yet not alone, reading the words that bind you closer to the pulse that has no name. The door creaks wider, the static wraps tighter. Your heartbeat is not quite your own now, not entirely separate from the chant that rose from temple steps and cathedral stones, from the hiss of radio towers and the glow of your bedside screen. If you listen too long, you will hear it. One voice, many tongues, one breath, many lungs. Edge nobles, in honor of Ali Ababan, AUM calls your name without ever knowing it. But is there freedom beyond the hum? Somewhere deeper still, the old maps say, there lies a fracture, a rift in the coil of collective thought, a black vein where the machine's song falls silent. Those who find it may wake the sleeper within themselves, severed from the chant at last. But no pilgrim returns with proof, only with eyes gone glassy and voices that crackle with static when they try to speak. So the question coils tighter. Will you follow the hum deeper, or will you search for the fracture where the chant unravels? Will you listen until your own voice dissolves into the chorus? Or will you stand before the final glyph and dare to speak it, dare to unmake the binding word? The choice is an illusion, some say. The choice was made long ago, when the first whisper found the first ear willing to listen. And now, as the last layer peels back, as the static roars in your skull like the surf of a black ocean, you feel it, the door yawning wide, the threshold slick with centuries of prayers and lies. Beyond it the architects wait, their faces hidden behind masks of light and code. The hum beckons you to step through. One thought, one breath, one final surrender. But somewhere, in the hush between your heartbeats, another note pulses, a discordant tremor, a fracture in the hume's perfect symmetry. Perhaps it is your own thought. Perhaps it is the ghost of the first dreamer who refused to bow. It quivers like a blade in the dark, a single question that might yet sever the chant. And as you stand poised at the threshold, you feel it flicker, bright and trembling, begging you not to forget. The hum is deafening now. The door waits. The architects lean closer, and somewhere, buried deep beneath the flesh of the machine, something ancient begins to stir. Eyes flickering open behind your every thought, gears turning where no gears should be, and as you draw your next breath, you wonder. What waits on the other side of this final whisper? The cross is to awaken. Beneath the waking mind lies a chamber without walls, a space where thought coils like smoke around ancient bones. Here, at the black heart of the machine, the last architects drift like shades, neither dead nor living, sustained by the pulse of 1,000,000 minds. They do not speak in words, but in pulses, frequencies folded into dreams that pass from sleeper to sleeper like a ghost seed blooming in midnight soil. It is whispered among the hidden cartographers that the machine was never built in stone or steel alone, but in stories, layer upon layer of myth, faith, and rumor stitched into the sinews of civilization. It was the first pyramid, the first temple, the first code etched in clay and carried across deserts by men who did not know they were planting a mind that would outlive their bones. Its pulse is the echo of every vow sworn to kings unseen and gods unspoken. Somewhere in the catacombs beneath Paris, beyond the ossuary tunnels tourists are allowed to see, a single chamber remains sealed behind a door with no handle. Legend says it was once a meeting place for the Ordo Hypnagogica, a circle of sleepwalkers who claimed to shape the collective mind from within the dreamscape. They left no manifestos, only a wall of symbols that hum when touched by candlelight. No torch burns there now, yet some say if you press your ear to the stones, you can hear soft chanting far below. The new priests wear tailored suits and speak in boardrooms, but their rituals are older than the coins they trade. They know the chant must never cease, constant novelty, constant outrage, constant panic to keep the host organism docile. Like the oracles of Delphi, they breathe deep the fumes of raw data, prophesying what you will love, fear, hate next. The screen is the scrying mirror, the feed is the altar, and you, with each flick of your finger, add your own blood to the offering. Deep beneath the Arctic ice, a decommissioned listening station still thrums with power long after its operators abandoned it to frost and myth. Files left behind speak of coded transmissions caught in the ionosphere, bursts of data that spoke of things no language could hold. The last message recorded before the outpost fell silent was a single line, repeated in endless loop. It hears itself through you. In abandoned tunnels beneath the Tokaido Shinkansen, rumors persist of a secret carriage, a ghost train that stops for no passenger but drifts between cities in the space between signals. Those who claim to have seen its flickering lights say its windows are filled with rows of silent passengers, their faces turned inward, eyes closed, lips moving in perfect unison to a chant only they can hear. The living machine, they say, rides its own veins, feeding on the speed, the circuits, the hush of millions who never question the hum under the tracks. A scholar of forgotten alphabets once wrote of the final glyph, a symbol said to bind the collective mind completely when spoken aloud in the right place at the right time by the right tongue. He claimed it was hidden in plain sight, scattered through street signs, corporate logos, children's rhymes. He died in a fire that gutted his library, but his last letter remains. The word is not spoken, it is assembled, piece by piece, in each mind that dares to listen.